welcome back to another Midnight Showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Entourage, aka Douchebags Be Douchebags. Now, I'm not going to do my old jump cut thing because I have too many videos backed up. I need to get them done, and I need to work on them right now. But I just wanted to give you an idea about this movie. I finally went and saw it, and I went and saw it on a cheap day because, might as well. I had the day off. So, what is this movie about? Well, it's about the four guys from that HBO show being the four guys from that HBO show, plus Ari Gold. That's it. That's the movie. End of story. Bye. No, but really, what is this movie about? It's basically the next step inside of this movie star's career. Okay, I didn't watch the show, just so you guys know. I'm not a big fan of it, as my title, aka title, gives you an idea of my general thoughts about the show, and I've maybe seen a grand total of 2 episodes of it. It just wasn't for me. It was quite clear that these guys are putting their heart and souls into acting the way they are. It's just not something that I want to watch. So, whatever. The movie, again, is just like that. It's, if you like this, if you like the show, if you like seeing these douchebag pricks be douchebag pricks, because admittedly there are some moments in this that felt just completely 100% real, like a group of buddies being buddies, and had me on the floor laughing. But then there are just as many moments of it where I was bored in my seat, trying to just, I should probably just leave. It's not worth it. But yeah, if you like that kind of humor, if you like those kind of people, then I could recommend this for you. But for the majority of people out there, this is a skip. You probably already guessed that if you weren't already a fan of the show, but yeah, it's an automatic skip it. It's just not worth it unless you like this kind of humor. And personally, most of the time it didn't work for me. There are some antics that did. As I said, Ari Gold in this movie, every second he is on screen, he steals this show, and by God, he is the funniest character, funniest mean, sarcastic prick I have seen in media in a while. I mean, it was just perfect. I can't imagine anybody else playing this guy and doing it with half the charisma he put into his performance. And I could almost recommend seeing this movie just for him, if only he was in more of the movie. Don't get me wrong, he is the main character, and he does basically solve the entire plot problem. The problem is that it's quite clear that the focus is still Vince E, Drama, and Turtle. If I got all those names right, somebody might correct me on that. But it's quite clear that they're the focus, and he's just the manager who's doing all of the stuff for them in the background. Although inside of this one, he's actually a studio exec rather than the agent, which he is on the show, which they poke fun at a lot inside of this movie. But every second that Ari's on screen, it's fucking hilarious. Everything that comes out of his mind, his rants, his freakouts, just him trying to make this movie a success. Because basically the plot of the movie is Vince once got divorced out of his marriage. That apparently was the last thing that happened inside of season 9 of Entourage. Again, nobody would know this unless they actually watched it or were paying very close attention like I was. Because there's only maybe 2 or 3 lines of it in the very beginning that mention this. But yeah, he's gotten 2 big acting nods under his belt. He's rich. Turtle made it big as a tequila dealer. I don't get it. They make jokes that he's a drug dealer on the side, but whatever. So yeah, he wants to move on to the next big step. He wants to direct a film finally. So Ari Gold is trying to make this happen. He gives him a project, gives him a budget of $100 million, and is really shocked to hear that they're almost done with the movie, but they need another $15 million more to finish it. And it's like, what? And that's basically the plot. It's just basically them trying to get this money. There's some antagonists in the form of Haley Joel Osment and his dad, played by Bobby Bill Thornton or something like that. I can't ever pronounce his name right, but they're the guys backing this entire movie, and it's about just trying to get the money from them, especially when all the antics that their douchebag antics end up causing problems along the way in the form of Haley Joel Osment. I won't spoil exactly what that is until the spoiler corner, but it's just one of those ones just like, okay, as I said, Ari Gold is solving all of this problem. He is working towards that. He is focused on the plot, and it is hilarious when he is on screen. The other guys have so many other subplots and things that they're trying to make as important as this movie coming out, but they're not nearly as important as they think. Most of them just being kind of, well, douchebaggy. E's subplot in particular is just of great annoyance. But before I go into that, I just again, final verdict, it's an honest to God skip it. It's not worth seeing unless you're a fan of this type of show or a fan of the show to begin with. So, yeah, going into spoilers, as I said, E's subplot is just stupidly left field. There's only one part of it that actually kind of made me laugh, and it wasn't had anything to do with E at all, but more of Drama's and Turtle's reaction to it. What is his subplot? Well, again, if you were following the show, they do make mention to it, but they don't go into detail anyway, so I'm just piecing together what the movie told me. He apparently got married to a girl and got her knocked up, and then he slept with her mother or stepmother. I think that's what they said. I'm not really sure. Which inevitably led them to break up, but he still wants to be there for the baby, which is almost about to pop, and just he's still being a douchebag, sleeping with a bunch of other women, and after getting drugged with a combination of Viagra, water, and food coloring, yes, by Drama, he ends up sleeping with another girl who may or may not have an STD. Turns out the girl he was sleeping with on the side may or may not be pregnant, and they have to go and find out all of this stuff. Oh, in the meantime, the other lady who he already broke up with says that she wants to give it another try and get back together, and holy shit, do we need all of this? Seriously, this is a subplot. This is not the focus, but so much time is devoted to it that you'd swear to God that's what this movie was about, was E and his infidelity. By God, it drags on. And as I said, there's only one part of it that ever made me laugh, and that's ultimately what this show is. It's a comedy. It's not a drama. It's not a real-life look at the world of Hollywood like some critics have stated. It's not. Frankly, it's a parody of Hollywood life, with the four biggest douchebags being bromance brothers. Yeah. So, again, it's a comedy. It is a comedy. This shit wasn't funny at all. The only time it got interesting at all was, again, these guys clearly are brothers. They like each other. They're willing to stick their necks out for each other, and it really does show in their performances. They do what real friends would actually do. They'd be 100% supportive, but they'd also record all the fighting and bad stuff so that they could make fun of you later with it. So, as I said, this is the part that made me laugh. He's going to meet the girl who he supposedly knocked up. I say supposedly because it turns out she didn't, but I'll get to that in a second. He goes there, and they're willing to stay and help him, be supportive and whatnot. They're just going to wait on the car, they said. About 5 minutes later, they walk inside and take a seat at the very end of the restaurant, waiting for the girl to show up so they can record it with their wonderful, wonderful smartphones. But, yeah, they're sitting there watching it, and it turns out the first person he ends up running into is the girl with the STD. Not the girl who got knocked up. She shows up a few minutes later, and relationship drama ensues. You've seen this in every single comedy romance that you've ever seen. I guarantee you. It's the only thing different about it is that... Actually, I can't think of anything that was different about it in any other film. Maybe a couple of extra F-bombs. That's about it. But yeah, the part that made me laugh was Turtle and Drama's reaction as they're sitting there watching this. And like, dude, is that the first girl? Is that the girl he knocked up? I don't know. I can't keep up with this guy's love life. Dear God, man. And then the other girl shows up and I'm like, holy shit, isn't that the other girl? I'm like, Jesus, man, how many did he sleep with in one day? And they're like sitting here cracking jokes while they're watching this. That part was hilarious, and it felt real. The rest of it just felt like a contrived Hollywood HBOism so that we can show more tits and ass. And by God, this movie has a lot of just pointless tits and ass everywhere. Yes, it's an HBO production. I get it. It's mature. No, it's not. It's childish. This is pandering to the 13-year-old who snuck into the theater. It's quite clear. If they had any form of taste, it would actually do this a lot better and probably wouldn't even do the excessive nudity. Seriously, there are a lot of women inside this movie who just walk around naked because they're hot. That's it. That's it. But yeah, it turns out that the two girls know each other. And when they were talking to each other about this guy they met, and they both say his name was E, oh crap. They set up this whole thing to get him. He's having an existential crisis at the moment. He is just relieved that this was all just a hoax they put up in front of him to show that he's just nothing but a Hollywood douchebag, which he is. And he's just happy because two of the three things in his life just went away, and now he can focus on actually getting back together with the person that he cares about and hanging out with his daughter. I believe it's a daughter they end up having in the end of the film. But yeah, his entire subplot is just so stupid. It drags on. You know where it's going. He's obviously going to end up with the woman with his baby, and the other two, even if it didn't turn out to be a hoax, would have easily turned into just, okay, I guess we're not the ones, and they'll leave. It's obvious. It drug this movie so bad. This movie is almost 2 hours long, and it is just, it's shit like this that didn't need to be in there. It just drags. And I got maybe just a couple of funny moments out of this entire subplot, and it takes up a good 35 minutes of this film. Wow. And that's not even talking about the other subplots, like Turtle trying to get into bed with the one fighter chick who was inside of Expendables 3. I can't think of her name. But, yeah, they start going out, and it turns out it's a business, and crap, and it's just, again, it's kind of stupid. It was nice seeing him get his arm hated, potentially broken, just to get a date with this chick. That was kind of interesting, but the rest of it, yeah, you know where this is going. Drama's entire role in the show was just to be the wash-up actor trying to make it big still, and basically living off of his brother's success. That's his entire role. So you can imagine every single joke that comes out with him. The only thing they did differently was a bunch of gross-out humor involving him spouting off a bunch of shit about his dick and having a video leak to the internet where he's jerking off for a girl. That's really it. Vince, surprisingly, is the only one who's not really a douchebag inside of this movie. He's just there. And honestly, that's about it. His entire subplot looked like it was cut from the movie. His relationship with this girl that he ended up meeting, and how that affects the overall plot is negligible. As I said, the person that steals the show is Ari Gold. By God, he is hilarious in this film. Every second he's on screen, he is just ripping someone a new one in the typical, I'm your boss, so you do what the fuck I say, man. At the same time, though, you can tell that he has problems of his own, and they don't shy away from those. His subplots with his wife and his anger management classes are just hilarious. I mean, there's one point where he punches a kitten poster that's in a frame because of hearing some bad news on his phone while he's inside of an anger management class. Defending that he's not angry at the moment. He freaks out and he punches it. It is one of the funniest scenes. When this movie comes to DVD, try to look up that scene on YouTube. Just that scene. It was funny as hell. And had a actually good cameo at the beginning with Kelsey Grammer with known anger issues walking out of this as they were walking in. And that's probably about the only good cameo inside this film. Every single one. It literally just stops what it's doing, turns the camera to the cameo, and focuses on it. You've got Super Bowl players, you got actors and actresses, you've got directors, you've got famous writers. I mean, good God, it just literally stuck. There's one point where Ari has to make it back to his office to meet the head of the studio before he gets there. And he's like stealing go-karts to drive across the lot and get there before his boss does, because of how he pissed him off to get there and told him to get down to my office, and he just runs out the door. But the entire time, he's passing a bunch of cameos, and each one of them, the camera stops and turns towards him, and they have a little conversation, and he drives off. Jessica Alba, Warren Buffett, who else was in there? There's a couple of other ones. Just randomly on the set for the sake of being there. It's just cameo, 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 cameo. 5 cameos later, he finally gets to his office, and he's beating his boss there so that he can be the smug douchebag that he always is. It's just one of those... The cameos are so forced in this movie. And I get it. That's how the show was, because everybody could just kind of play a parody of themselves and just do whatever. But yeah, it got annoying fast. Really annoying. Especially when the cameos are so out of left field that they're clearly not in any of the establishing shots, but then all of a sudden they cut the camera to a different angle and they're standing right there. Yes, I'm looking at Farrell, the singer guy with the weird hat who does I'm Happy and I Know It and I Clap My Hands. He wasn't there. He was not there. And magically he is, just so that they can come up with an excuse to blow the screening of this film. It's just... It just didn't work. It didn't. One of the things that did work, though, and I will admit it, was the 4 guys themselves. These guys are clearly friends, each one having a distinct personality and messing with each other in the way that friends legitimately do. As I said, I don't like these guys because they're all basically douchebags. Every single one of them. It's the Hollywood stereotype douchebag that I really, really hate. But each one of these guys is clearly a friend with another, with each other. They're all really good at being these douchebags. And although it didn't work, in my opinion, I can honestly say I can see how someone could like this. And that's ultimately all I can really say about this film. Is just that it wasn't for me. It had moments where it worked amazingly. And it had moments where it crashed spectacularly. And there were moments inside of this that just had no purpose being here at all. And frankly speaking, I didn't like Haley Joel Osment or his dad, Billy Bob Thornton or whatever his name is. Because honestly, it didn't need it. You could just have this be the fight with the studio execs, and that would have been interesting enough. If it was to be more of the parody and comedy, why not just say it's the stupid exec's son rather than the financier's son? Because that seems a little forced. And again, that's basically the whole movie in a nutshell. It's a parody of what Hollywood is like. And it's a comedy. And it just didn't jive with me. So, again, final verdict is an honest skip it. Unless you are a big fan of Entourage or anything, or even if you're just a fan of douchebags being douchebags, because I know that's basically 90% of comedies these days, but it just really isn't worth it to us that enjoy smarter humor, that enjoy being more. That's all I can say, just more. If you're going to show tits and ass on screen, have it be for a purpose. Have it somehow impact the story and make it better. Don't appeal to the 13-year-old hand boys. That's all I'm saying, okay? And that's all this did. Am I going to ever watch the show? Absolutely not. I had no interest in the show from what I've seen of it, and this movie didn't spark my interest anymore. It's just another TV movie that somehow made it into theaters. I mean, compare it to something like, say, one of the Naruto films. One of the Naruto films has a clear-cut beginning, middle, and end, completely derived from any continuity, so you don't really need to know all that much going into them, and they're enjoyable to watch. They have legitimate funny moments, they have legitimate good action moments. You may not understand exactly all the movements they're doing, or the chakra talks, or something like that, but it's self-explanatory enough that I can honestly give you one of the films and you'll be able to watch it and say, it kind of made me interested in the show. I want to know more about what they're talking about. There's obviously a good lore here. Entourage has none of that. Entourage just has four douchebags being douchebags with a really good manager. And that's it. So, yeah, it's skippable. And, well, I'm going to have to call it since I got to go. So, next time on Midnight Showing, hopefully will be Inside Out. And I will see you all next time.